10 feet of snow is about to bury the Sierra Nevada starting tomorrow, with 80-mile-per-hour winds creating complete whiteout conditions. And folks, this is being called the most powerful storm California has seen all winter. Honolulu is basking in 80 degrees of tropical paradise right now, while Minneapolis shivers at 25 degrees with heavy snow falling. That's a 55-degree temperature swing happening across this country as we speak. And here's the number that's going to blow your mind. Temperatures across the central states are running an absolutely insane 40 degrees above normal, with Chicago potentially shattering records by hitting the 60s this week in mid-February. The models just shifted dramatically in the last 48 hours to show multiple major snowstorms lined up through late February, plus severe Arctic air that nobody saw coming. And that changes everything. This week's weather is about to get wild, folks. And I'm going to break down exactly what you need to know, because the next 2 weeks are shaping up to be one of the most volatile stretches we've seen all season. All right. Think of this pattern like a 1-2 punch from Mother Nature herself. The first hit is already slamming the West Coast with 10 feet of mountain snow, and the second punch crosses the Rockies by midweek to deliver that Arctic blast. Where those two air masses collide, we get storm after storm after storm, and that's exactly what's setting up across the entire country from coast to coast over the next 2 weeks. Now, before we dive into all the details, drop your city in the comments right now. I genuinely want to know where you're watching from and whether you're loving this crazy warmth or stuck dealing with the snow. And stick with me through this entire breakdown, because at the end I've got 3 bold predictions you can screenshot, plus the exact timing on when that polar vortex finally crashes south to end this false spring party. So, let me start with what's happening right now across the southeast, because we just wrapped up a dangerous, severe weather event with tornado warnings in Georgia while many folks were still sleeping. The Storm Prediction Center had a slight risk area extending from southeastern Georgia through northern Florida, including Jacksonville, Savannah, Tallahassee, and even down to Orlando. Damaging winds over 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail, and a couple isolated tornadoes were all on the table. And some of those did verify overnight across Mississippi and Alabama. The moisture content with this storm was absolutely anomalous. We're talking 200 to 300% of normal, which is why some areas saw upwards of 2 inches of rainfall in just a few hours. Here's the question I need you to answer honestly right now. If this monster California storm knocks out power across the mountains at 2 a.m. tonight, do you have a backup plan to stay warm until help arrives? Because that's exactly what thousands of folks in the Sierra Nevada are preparing for right now. And the National Weather Service is calling this potentially the most dangerous storm of the entire winter season. Jacksonville at 70 degrees and humid with the storm clearing out. Atlanta at 55 degrees with rain developing later. Charlotte at 55 degrees with light rain moving through. Nashville at 50 degrees caught in that tricky transition zone between warm and cold air. Memphis at 55 degrees with scattered rain. Birmingham at 58 degrees with showers developing. Miami at 78 degrees with absolute tropical perfection. Tampa at 72 degrees and clearing. Orlando at 74 degrees with scattered showers lingering from the overnight storms. New Orleans at 68 degrees with thunderstorms possible later. Baton Rouge at 67 degrees with heavy rain potential. The Gulf Coast stays warm but definitely needs to stay weather aware today. Now here's where things get really serious, folks. Because while the southeast deals with this departing storm, a monster system is spinning up in the Pacific that's about to absolutely hammer the west coast. The Sierra Nevada mountains are looking at 8 to 10 feet of snow over the next several days. And I'm not exaggerating when I say some ridge tops could approach 120 inches before this thing is done. In plain English, we're talking about hurricane-force winds combined with blinding snow. The kind of conditions where you literally cannot see your hand in front of your face even in broad daylight. Wind gusts are forecast to exceed 80 miles per hour at the ridgetops, and that's the same strength as a Category 1 hurricane, except it's combined with feet of heavy, wet snow. Communities like Mammoth Lakes, Truckee, Tahoe City, South Lake Tahoe, Kirkwood, Bear Valley, and Soda Springs are all under winter storm warnings that could last for days. Donner Pass on I-80 and Echo Summit on Highway 50 will almost certainly close multiple times during this event, and Caltrans is already warning that mountain travel will be, quote, impossible at times. And here's what makes this timing especially dangerous. This is President's Day weekend, which means thousands of people are heading to Tahoe for skiing, and many of them could get trapped up there for days. Sacramento at 62 degrees with the storm just getting started, but just 90 miles east in the mountains. You're looking at 8 to 10 feet of snow. That's the dramatic difference elevation makes in California. San Francisco at 55 degrees and cool with gusty winds developing. Los Angeles at 57 degrees and sunny, but watching that mountain snow pile up to the north and east. And here's something that rarely happens but is definitely on the table tomorrow. There's actually a severe weather threat for parts of California, with the potential for damaging winds and even isolated tornadoes. San Diego at 65 degrees and mild. San Jose at 60 degrees with fog. Fresno at 60 degrees and dry. The Central Valley stays calm, but you'll feel this storm's presence with those gusty winds. Reno at 48 degrees, but dropping fast as the storm approaches, with 1 to 2 inches of valley snow possible, and the pass is becoming extremely dangerous by tomorrow afternoon. Seattle at 50 degrees with rain developing. Portland at 50 degrees with similar conditions. The Pacific Northwest gets soaked, but the real story is that heavy mountain snow in the Cascades. Denver at 40 degrees with 3 inches of snow and high winds making travel treacherous. Salt Lake City at 40 degrees with mountain snow nearby. The Rockies are definitely getting in on this action. Colorado Springs at 45 degrees with accumulating snow. Albuquerque at 50 degrees with mountain snow in the Sandias. Boise at 40 degrees with winter weather developing across Idaho. Now, before I give you the Midwest breakdown, let me ask you this. Are you in the warm zone enjoying this fall spring or stuck in the cold zone dealing with snow? Drop it in the comments. I want to know. Because here's the thing about this fall spring we've been experiencing. It is absolutely insane, with temperatures running 30 to 40 degrees above normal across a huge swath of the country. Chicago at 54 degrees today with snow showers possible later. But here's what's crazy. Wednesday could see highs in the low 60s, which would absolutely shatter daily records for mid-February. And get this, Amarillo. Texas could hit the low 80s this week, and even the Nebraska Panhandle might see temps in the 60s and 70s. That's just bonkers for the middle of February, folks. This is a fall spring, though, and I need you to hear this loud and clear by February 23rd. This warmth is gone and Arctic air crashes in, so enjoy it while you can, but don't put away those winter coats. Dallas at 66 degrees, feeling more like April than February. Houston at 70 degrees and balmy. San Antonio at 68 degrees with clear skies. Texas is absolutely loving every minute of this warmth. Austin at 67 degrees and sunny. Fort Worth at 65 degrees and breezy. El Paso at 62 degrees and warm. The Lone Star State is enjoying what feels like an early spring preview. Oklahoma City at 55 degrees with scattered rain developing. Tulsa at 56 degrees with similar conditions. Wichita at 45 degrees getting closer to that cold front boundary. Kansas City at 40 degrees right on the edge of the cold air. St. Louis at 42 degrees with mixed precipitation possible. The transition zone runs right through the heartland. Phoenix at 72 degrees with gorgeous desert sunshine. Tucson at 70 degrees and beautiful. Las Vegas at 58 degrees with clear skies. The Southwest is absolutely perfect right now. Honolulu at 80 degrees with tropical perfection as always. That's your ultimate escape if you can swing it. And honestly, who wouldn't want to be there instead of dealing with all this weather drama? Now let's talk about where the storm track sets up this week. Because whenever we get this kind of extreme warmth in the central states, there's always a battleground that develops. That battleground is where the warm air from the south meets the cold air trying to push down from Canada. And right now, that boundary is setting up from North Dakota through Minnesota. Minneapolis at 25 degrees with significant snow in the forecast. We're talking about a serious winter storm developing Tuesday into Wednesday that could drop 6 to 8 inches or more. St. Paul at 26 degrees with similar heavy snow expected. Madison at 29 degrees with the storm bearing down. The Twin Cities and southern Wisconsin are right in the bullseye. The European model and GFS are both showing heavy wet snow and maybe even some ice across North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and up into the upper peninsula of Michigan. Milwaukee at 28 degrees with snow showers developing. Detroit at 30 degrees with winter weather moving in. Grand Rapids at 31 degrees with lake effect kicking in. And here's what really concerns me about this setup. There's actually a thunderstorm risk developing Tuesday into Wednesday from Iowa through Wisconsin, Illinois, and into Michigan. In plain English, We could see thunders now, or a line of strong storms developing along that warm-cold boundary, and when you get thunder with snow, that's usually a sign of a really intense system. Chicago at 54 degrees today, but watch for a significant temperature crash by Thursday as that cold front barrels through, bringing the possibility of strong winds and storms ahead of it. Indianapolis at 48 degrees with snow flurries possible. Columbus at 45 degrees with light snow in the forecast. Cleveland at 32 degrees with the lake effect machine starting to crank. Buffalo at 30 degrees with heavy lake effect snow developing. Rochester at 32 degrees with similar conditions. Syracuse at 33 degrees. Upstate New York knows how to handle this. Pittsburgh at 35 degrees with winter weather developing. Cincinnati at 38 degrees near that rain-snow line. The Ohio Valley is caught right in that messy transition zone. Now let me show you the Northeast, because while the main storm track stays mostly north, you're still going to see some action from this system by the middle of the week. And here's where the models have really shifted in the last 48 hours. We're now seeing snowfall opportunities for the mid-Atlantic and Northeast that weren't showing up at all just 2 days ago. The trend this entire winter has been colder and snowier than the models initially showed. So when the models shift colder like they just did, history says we should take it seriously. New York City at 37 degrees and cloudy with post-storm cleanup happening. But the bigger story is what's coming Wednesday through Thursday as that system ejects east. Boston at 36 degrees with snow possible later this week. Providence at 37 degrees with similar conditions. Worcester at 35 degrees up in the higher elevations could see more. Philadelphia at 52 degrees and overcast with light snow possible later. Baltimore at 39 degrees with winter weather developing. Washington, D.C. at 50 degrees and partly sunny for now. Newark at 36 degrees and cloudy. The I-95 corridor needs to stay alert for that midweek system because timing is everything when it comes to rush hour impacts. The European model is now showing much more Arctic air than even yesterday's run, with temperatures potentially crashing 30 to 40 degrees in just a few days around February 23rd. We're talking about going from 10 to 20 degrees above normal to 10 to 20 degrees below normal. And that kind of temperature whiplash is exactly what fuels powerful storm systems. Hartford at 38 degrees with winter weather possible. Albany at 35 degrees with snow developing. Burlington at 32 degrees. Northern New England always gets its share of the white stuff. Portland, Maine at 34 degrees with snow likely. Bangor at 30 degrees with winter storm conditions possible. The northern tier states are definitely going to see significant accumulation. Now let me tell you what happens after this week, because the pattern is about to get even more interesting as we head toward the end of February and into early March. The trough out west is going to start marching eastward into the middle of the country, while a ridge hangs on across the eastern states, creating a very volatile and active setup. In plain English, that means big temperature swings with stronger storm systems moving through. And both models agree we're looking at an extremely active finish to February. The last week of February, from the 23rd through March 1st, looks especially volatile with cold shots from Canada dropping down into the Great Lakes, Northeast, and even parts of the Southeast. And here's what has winter weather lovers genuinely excited. The trend in the models has been colder and snowier than expected at every single point this season. So there's real reason for optimism. We could be looking at additional snowstorms for the northern plains, upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast as we push through the final week of February into early March. The Appalachian Mountain Range, Mid-Atlantic, and even the Ohio Valley are now in play for snowfall opportunities that the models weren't showing just a few days ago. Now I want to give folks in the South a heads up, because while you're enjoying this warmth, severe weather season is just 5 to 6 weeks away and it's time to start preparing. Climatologically, this is the time of year when Dixie Alley starts ramping up. And the volatile pattern we're seeing is going to fuel some powerful storms on the warm side of these systems. The Tennessee Valley, the Southeast, the Gulf Coast states, and even the Mid-Atlantic need to have their severe weather plans in place because March can get active in a hurry. Make sure you've got a NOAA weather radio programmed to your specific county and know exactly where your safe place is if a tornado warning is issued for your area. Little Rock at 54 degrees with rain developing. Jackson at 60 degrees with storms possible. Montgomery at 60 degrees. The Deep South stays warm but unsettled. Omaha at 35 degrees with snow developing. Lincoln at 36 degrees with similar conditions. Des Moines at 34 degrees. The Plains states are getting in on this winter action. Sioux Falls at 30 degrees with heavy snow possible. Fargo at 25 degrees with blizzard conditions developing. The Dakotas are going to get absolutely hammered by this system. Rapid City at 35 degrees with mountain snow nearby. Billings at 32 degrees with winter storm warnings posted. The northern Rockies are seeing their share of this active pattern. Anchorage at 20 degrees with typical Alaskan winter conditions. And here's some perspective for you. It's actually warmer in some parts of Minnesota right now than it is in parts of Alaska. Now, here's what I need you to do based on where you are, because different regions require completely different game plans for the next 2 weeks. If you're in the Sierra Nevada or planning any mountain travel in California this week, seriously reconsider your plans, because this storm will be life-threatening with 10 feet of snow and 80 miles per hour winds. Make sure your vehicle has emergency supplies if you absolutely must travel: blankets, water, snacks, a flashlight, and a fully charged portable phone charger. These items could save your life. If you're in the upper Midwest from Minneapolis through Wisconsin to Michigan, prepare for significant snow Tuesday into Wednesday. Stock up on groceries and fill your gas tank now, not later. If you're in the central states enjoying this false spring with temperatures 40 degrees above normal, soak it up while you can, because that Arctic blast coming February 23rd is going to feel brutal. And if you're in the Southeast or Tennessee Valley, enjoy the warmth, but start preparing for severe weather season now, because the volatile pattern we're seeing is going to fuel powerful storms in March. Check on your elderly neighbors and relatives in the storm zones. Make sure they have heat, food, and their medications, because these prolonged winter events can be dangerous for folks living alone. All right, here are my 3 bold predictions. Screenshot this right now, because you can absolutely hold me to these when everything plays out over the next 2 weeks. Prediction number 1. The Sierra Nevada hits 10 feet of snow by Friday morning, forcing I-80 through Donner Pass to close for at least 48 consecutive hours due to whiteout conditions. Prediction number 2. Minneapolis declares a snow emergency by Thursday, with accumulation exceeding 8 inches and wind chills dropping to minus 20 degrees by next weekend. Prediction number 3. Dallas crashes from 70 degrees to 35 degrees in just 72 hours as that Arctic blast arrives around February 23rd, ending this false spring for good. If I'm wrong on any of these, I'll own it right here on this channel. That accountability is exactly how you know you can trust what I'm telling you day after day. So, let me bring it all together. We've got 10 feet of Sierra snow incoming with 80 miles per hour winds. Multiple major snowstorms lined up through late February, and a major Arctic blast on the horizon. Remember that 1-2 punch from Mother Nature? I mentioned at the beginning, the first hit is burying the West Coast in 10 feet of snow right now, and the second punch crosses the Rockies by midweek to deliver that Arctic air. The fall spring we're enjoying with temperatures 40 degrees above normal is going to come to a screeching halt when that polar vortex finally breaks loose and crashes south around February 23rd. And the models shifting colder in the last 48 hours tells me winter isn't done with us yet. Not by a long shot. So keep those snow shovels handy and don't put away those winter coats. And here's what I'm watching most closely for next week if that polar vortex connects fully with the surface. We could be looking at the coldest air of the entire winter hitting the central and eastern states. That's a scenario that would bring significant snow opportunities to areas that have been starved for winter weather this season. And I'll break down the latest model runs in tomorrow's video. I'll have an update first thing tomorrow morning with the latest on that California monster storm, the exact Midwest snow totals, and whether that Arctic blast is going to verify as strong as the models suggest. Drop your city in the comments one more time. Let me know if you're loving this warmth or stuck dealing with the snow, and I'll catch you in the next update. Have fun in the sun while it lasts, folks, because winter is about to remind everyone that it's still February. Stay safe and stay prepared out there.